How you doing? Welcome back to another Cool Features Windows 10. We're going to switch places. You're not used to seeing me over here and, well, Mike over there. And no, your screen's not backwards. Sure. We're actually going to switch places and tell you about a cool new feature. But the reason we had to do that is that Mike's machine is going to have the ability to be able to show you one or two of these cool new elements that my machine doesn't. And we'll show you why along the way as we talk about it. So, Mike, what are we going to talk about?
We're going to take a look at the snippet replacement. Good cool. Old Snip and Sketch, right? You've used Snippet before?
I have. I use it all the time, but I'm using the old version.
Oh, the old one. Okay, yeah, and it's a great tool, right? It gave me the ability to do a quick screenshot or capture a portion of my screen that I could save, and there were some annotation capabilities in there as well. But they've updated it. They've made it a little new and improved. It's now
it isn't so.
I know, right? Drum roll. It is now called Snip and Sketch, which really tells you a lot about it, right? You're going to be able to create snippets and then annotate or sketch on them. So without further ado, why don't we just jump right in, take a look at it. We'll talk about some of the cool new features that come along with this new and improved snippet tool. Starting with how we launch it. Obviously, we could go to the Start menu like we do with anything. I can type in Snip, and I'm going to see Snip and Sketch. Should show up highly on your list there. Just a quick note, you can also do your Windows key A, and you'll find that the screen snip is on your actions bar or your actions pane. And my zoom in is not actually zooming in. That's nice. So you could click there, and you could launch it as well. But notice this one launches directly. We don't see the actual app. This one launches directly into, hey, I want to take a snip right now, which is kind of cool. And the other one that I actually just discovered the other day, Adam, which is kind of cool, is remember the old print screen button?
I do.
Right? There's a
Shift print screen. Right?
Yes, right? The old print screen. Yeah. We can actually make that come back to life. We can bring it back from the dead. I'm going to go into my settings. And in my settings, we're going to take a look in the ease of access area. I'll zoom back out so we can see where I'm at. And then down towards the bottom, you're going to find your keyboard interaction options. And one of the options happens to be, if I can get my scroll. That's interesting. You see the scroll bar moving? But
I do.
Let's try that again. Let's go settings.
So, boys and girls, this is the danger of using an old pointing device known as a mouse.
Yep, we're going to go keyboard. And there we go. Now
there
the actual
it is.
Windows
Okay.
scrolling.
All right.
And down here, take a look at this one. Use the print screen button to open screen snipping. How
so
cool
not
is that?
not that it doesn't work out of the box in the sense that print screen still works.
Correct.
But you're talking about linking it to actually opening the screen snipping tool, which is
yeah, it's mind blowing.
Awesome times two.
Yeah.
Even better.
With you get a little more control, right, with that screen snipping. So
now, one other thing, just before you go.
Sure.
So you showed us, theoretically, we can link the print screen option if we choose to. You showed us we could use our Windows Find, right? So just search. I'm assuming we could, in theory, use voice with Cortana if we wanted to, although I'm not a big advocate of that. But we could do that. So that's three ways.
It is.
We could go in to our little notifications area, get our little shortcut tiles, and we will, depending on whether or not we've customized our list, which we can do, and we'll talk about in an upcoming episode as one of the cool new features. If you're not familiar with it, we can find it there. That's four. There's also a Windows key shortcut that brings that up as well.
That was?
Well, I could tell you, but so if you do, hold on one second. So if you do Windows Shift S, that will bring it up as well. So that is 5.
5, count them, 5.
Awesome.
I tell you, they really want you to be able to take a snippet.
They do.
All right, so let's launch the program because with the keyboard shortcut we just showed you, with launching it from the quick access area, you go right into Snip and you don't get a lot of the other features. So let's take a look at that. I'm going to go to my Start menu, type in Snip, and we're going to go ahead and launch that good old Snip and Sketch. And here's the new interface that we get. It's pretty straightforward. You have a new button up here to the top left-hand corner where I can choose New. Hidden under, and if I just click New, it's going to start it. And this is just like our old snipping tool, right? I get my cursor. I've got choices across the top where I can do a rectangular snip. I can do a freeform snip. I can do a window snip where I capture the entire window. And it will do multiple monitors if you have multiple monitors as well. Here you can do a full screen snip, or you can say, you know what, I missed that. I didn't mean to click that keyboard shortcut or hit that keyboard shortcut, and I can close out of it. If I wanted to do a free form, for example, I could try to, I don't know how this, let's see how this is going to look.
Now, it's interesting as you watch Mike do this, just if you notice what Mike was doing, from where he started, roughly right above the cat or whatever.
Right
it's a cat, right? Yeah, it's a ninja cat up on the horse, on the unicorn, excuse me. Holding the Windows flag. Boy, there's not a lot of symbolism there.
None at all.
But if you noticed, it didn't just trace in really true freeform fashion, in the sense that if Mike's hand was jittery or I bumped the table, the mouse moved, it went all over. It planted a point almost like you would have if you used a protractor, and it kept your point there set, and then it traced around it using that point as the reference to give you a relatively clean set of lines, which is actually really cool.
And I'll start over to show you what he was referring to there. Oops, now I've lost my snip. Let's close
Yeah, you just have to start. Yeah, you have to actually close that. Just open it again.
And to Adam's point, it really helps you as you're drawing that to know what's going to be included. Because as I go around, you can see it turns colors, right? You can see it lighting up or highlighting.
It's almost like a radar, right? It's roving around and then showing you that. But notice that fixed point where he started is the anchor point for all those lines as he goes in. I just think that's a really neat feature to do tracing, because I always struggle with, and you and I were talking about this before the episode, you're a mouse person, right, for the most part. I'm not. I'm using a touchpad exclusively. Right. And when I try to draw, if I'm doing something on a snip, we'll see another cool feature here in just a minute, right, with some of the stuff they've included. But I cannot freehand draw anything that comes even remotely close to being clean like that in the old Snip tool. When I use like the highlighter and stuff, it looks like I'm all over the place because I just don't have a way to stabilize that line. This is actually really neat.
It is. I really, really like it. All right, so let's. I'm going to close that down. We're going to make a new snip here. Again, take a look at some of the other features. Hidden under that new button up there are some other options where I can hit this little drop-down chevron, and you'll see I've got snip in 3 seconds and snip in 10 seconds. This is something that we were discussing earlier. It was available in the old snipping tool, although I think it was a little bit hidden. And I struggled for a minute to try to figure out, okay, well, what's the usefulness? I'm thinking of the old camera, where you wanted the family photo. And you
run in front.
Everybody's got to run around real quick and make sure everybody's in the right place. Smile, and you always get dad kind of like coming into the picture. That's basically what you're doing here. There are some things in Windows that we cannot take a snip of normally, right? Like, let's say I want to get a snip of my start menu. I want to show them the expanded menu under 7-zip. So I expand it out, I see what I want, I go to do a new snip.
Goes away.
Oh, my start menu went away. Or if I want to show the Action Center, same kind of thing. I want to take an image of this or a snip of this message to send over to IT. Hey, I'm getting this pop-up, blah, blah, blah. What does this mean? So I open this up and I go to snip, and of course, it goes away. So what I can do is I can say, you know what? I'm going to do this in 3 seconds. And that gives me
Will Mike make it? Is he quick enough?
Right?
Stay tuned. There you go.
And there we made it, luckily. Now, I've read some forums where they're like, well, there's no countdown timer. It makes it really difficult to know what's going on. But here's what's really going on. They've thought this out. What happens is they're giving you 3 seconds or 10 seconds, depending on what you choose, to set up your screen. Once that timer expires, it's not like it takes the picture instantly. So it's not like where we run around and have to get there. It freezes your screen. So you have 3 seconds or 10 seconds to get your screen set the way you want it, and then it's going to freeze it. And now I'm free to stand here and talk like I've done for the last 10 seconds. I haven't even taken an image yet, but the screen is still frozen, so I can still go back over here, and I can grab my little message, and I can grab my snippet of that, which was much more difficult or impossible to do without that delay. So I think that's
those
really cool.
Wacky Snip people at Microsoft, boy. What will they think of next?
They are smart, aren't they?
They are. I'll tell you honestly, now that you explain the feature that way, because you and I talked about this between the episodes, and we were struggling a little bit to come up with a business case that actually made sense for this, right? We talked about random things, but really nothing, at least to me, that logically made a lot of sense about it. I was kind of the same thing as you. Like, all right, so I'm going to run around, try to get on my screen, and, what am I going to use a timer for?
Yeah, what do I really need?
Based on how you just explained that, I didn't think about that, but I often struggle with capturing something that's a focus issue on the screen. Like you were saying, I click on the start menu, I want to snip it, and it goes away in the old tool because it's the focus in the screen that changes, right? That's awesome. I mean, I actually think that's a really cool feature based on
tooltips, things that you hover over and a little message appears. Well, as soon as you're not hovering over it,
they're gone.
You can't take a snippet of it. Yeah, so that's the kind of thing you can
I actually like that. That's cool.
To set that up.
That is cool.
All right, next to that, you've got some pretty standard features here. We've got open, so I could open a previously captured image, and I could work on annotating that. We've got the undo and redo features right up here as you're annotating. So let's talk about the annotation. Let me grab a new snippet real quick, and I'm just going to grab our favorite little unicorn.
Ninja Cat Unicorn.
Yeah, right. So there you saw me capture that snippet. And up across the top, I have the different tools we can use. You've got your pen. And when you click on that, you'll see that you get colors as well as size. So we can change the color we want to annotate with. And I'll zoom back out so we can see that again. And I can also use this slider to control the thickness, the brush stroke of that annotation that we're going to do. And then once I've selected that, I'll pick my color. I can now annotate across that screen. that's when the undo and redo options come into play. Next to that, you've got a little finer point with a pen or pencil, whatever you want to go. Blue is probably not going to be the best.
Yeah, blue on blue may not be your best color palette go-to there. Right.
And same thing here. I've got a slider, and you can see this is not quite as
more like fine chisel point, right?
Yeah,
kind of very,
it
very
almost
light.
has
It's also a lighter color, I find. Yeah, it's almost like a
lighter push or something.
Yeah, I found that as I was playing with it, that tool gives me this almost. It almost looks like spray paint. It's very light. It's very, and it's speckled a little bit.
It is a little speckled. That's what I was looking for. Yeah. And then you've got your highlighter next to that, and of course, same options, colors, brush stroke size, and this one for an image maybe not as useful. Although I guess I could paint my horse yellow or unicorn. But if you're working with text, pop-ups, that message that I grabbed from the Action Center, and I want to highlight the portion that I'm not understanding and send that over to tech or whatever, so the highlighter can become handy. Then you've got your eraser. Now the eraser is a little different. It's got the erase all ink option, which is kind of cool. If you're like, you know what, I want to start all over, and I don't want to have to sit here and try to erase the whole screen. But it's not like some erasers where you're used to, where if there's a line, right, and I have this line, and I want to erase, I want to put a break in that line, not going to do that with this eraser. You're going to erase anything that you click and drag over, it erases that entire object. So that line, that circle, that highlight, whatever it is, it's going to erase.
So erase early, because as I started to use this tool, I found out the hard way after I had marked up a whole bunch of stuff. Oops, I erased everything and had to start over because I was used to it being the old, let me just spot erase, right, essentially in the old way of doing it. And boy, let me tell you what, it does not work that way.
Yeah, because let's say I had something like this and I want to erase that green line. I'm going to have to be really careful not to touch that orange object and maybe try to get it in the open.
It's like Jenga or pick up sticks, right? Good luck, because you're probably not going to be successful.
Exactly. And then I'm going to skip a ruler for just a second. I've got the crop. The crop, I think most of us are familiar with. This is any imaging editing type software. You click crop. It's going to put boundaries on your image, and then you've got your dragging, resizing handles at all four corners, and I can simply drag those in and maybe get a little closer on the image if I had snipped it too much, or I wanted to hide something, and I snipped an email, but I wanted to hide a certain field or something. And you simply hit enter, and once you've resized that, and now you've got your new image. The ruler is a pretty cool option, right? I like this. This is something Adam and I were playing with the other day. And it gives me the ability to draw straight lines, right? That's what rulers are for. You can measure with it, although I'm not sure, what you'd have to figure out what these, I would assume those are inches, but what assuming does. So I don't know. It's really more for helping you draw than measure, but you drag this out, and then let's say I want to draw a straight line across this image. I can grab my pen just like I would normally, and then go right across that ruler. And notice my mouse, I can be way down here. It's not going to go underneath the ruler, right? It actually stops me from drawing. So I can kind of draw that straight line, and
No, I was going to say, so one thing you'll notice, pull the ruler down, just perfect. Just stay there for a second. Sure. Don't do anything. So you notice Mike drew about 3/4 of the line, right, going left to right. Oh, I'm below, and he stopped, and then he drew the rest of the line going right to left, and you notice it joined the line perfectly. It's not going to allow you to pick up and have a disjointed line the way, let's say, we would if we freehanded it, which, again, for me is awesome when I'm drawing lines on things. Now, I know Mike's going to show you a couple of cool features, but let me just throw one out that you're probably not going to show quickly while we're doing this. Drag the ruler over towards the right side of the screen so you get the very small edge, right? So now, not only can you draw a line going horizontally, right? Maybe or a different color just so you could see it. You could do that. You can go around the side. You could also draw using any side of the ruler if you do it that way. So I figured this out as I was playing with it.
Nice.
And so it's actually cool because you can get smaller size lines if you're, like I'm trying to make an arrow maybe to notate something. I'm sitting there trying to turn the ruler, and Mike's going to show you how to rotate it in a minute. Imagine having to rotate it without a mouse, because I have to do it with my double finger kind of touchpad thing, and it doesn't work. But I was trying to figure out, hey, could I draw an arrow easily? How am I going to do this? And I figured out I could rotate the ruler and then use that side to actually draw, which I didn't realize. It's actually really cool.
I like it. Yeah, it's kind of fun to sit here and play with this tool. I tell you what. I'm going to use my erase all option here. Start over. So we got the ruler, obviously straight lines. Now, what if I want a horizontal or a vertical line, right? Or a line that kind of diagonal? Yeah. You've got this little, right in the center, you can see your angle indicator. And I'm going to hover. If you're not hovering over the ruler, it doesn't work. I'm moving my mouse wheel at this point. If I hover my mouse over the ruler and I use my scroll wheel, Notice I can rotate that in either direction. I know you can't see my finger, but just rotating your mouse wheel back and forth. So, and I can be very exact about it. I need a 25-degree line. Well, there we go. I now have a line at 25 degrees, right? So really kind of neat. You can rotate that around to your heart's content. In fact, we can play like we're on.
Well, you can, like I said, I can only rotate it as far as my two fingers will go this way or this way, and then it resets, and it's just a nightmare. So you definitely need a mouse for this one. You need a mouse for this one.
All right, so that's the ruler. Pretty straightforward there. To get rid of the ruler, just simply click ruler again, and that ruler will go away. The other option under there, if I click that one more time, is protractor. And this is kind of a cool option as well, because there are times when I want a nice curved line. And I tell you what, if you've ever seen me draw, which I'm sure, hopefully you have, yeah, not too good at the circles, especially freehanding the circles. So I'm using my mouse wheel to actually make this protractor larger and smaller. Again, you're going to grab a pen of your choice and then simply drag along the edge of that, and I can do an exact, let's say, 90-degree, if I can stop at 90, right? 90-degree angle. And then I move that protractor. I'm left with that nice curved line right there. So you can pick any angle you want, obviously, and you can resize your protractor to make that work for you. And then you can simply click protractor again, and it goes away. So some really handy features there. We'll continue on. We've got the save option. I think everybody knows what that is going to mean. We can save our snip to our, wherever you want to save it to, so you can send it to somebody. You can copy this. It'll take it out to your clipboard, and you can paste it in an email or a Word document or what have you.
Like a cloud clipboard.
Ooh, like a cloud clipboard.
It would be awesome if we did an episode on that.
I wish there was some way to show me how to use that.
Dramatic foreshadowing. If you haven't seen that one, we actually talk about how to use the cloud clipboard. This would be a great example of saving something to the cloud clipboard and then, making it available.
Yeah.
Or even maybe, I don't know, linking it to your phone.
Ooh, yeah.
Ooh, another episode. We just got
So I can
chock full of
annotate
them.
my unicorn, cat riding unicorn, and put it on a background on my phone.
Yeah, because, on the iPhone, that would go over really well.
Yeah, right. All right, then moving along. So right up here next to that, we've got another cool option. This is the ubiquitous share icon, right? Saying, hey, I'm going to send this somewhere. If I click on that, I actually have a lot of really cool options. I don't have some of the people things set up on my laptop here at work, but you can see select to turn on nearby sharing, right? So, and it doesn't have to zoom into that dialog box there. But this is very similar to like, what is it, AirPlay, or I know iOS has something like this as well. But I could Bluetooth this or Wi-Fi this over to Adam's laptop.
NFC.
NFC, there you go. Again, you get the people option. You also have down here your pretty standard options. I can email this to somebody. I can use OneNote. I can put it on Facebook. And you can see some of these have install, because I am going to need a little extension added in there to be able to send that to OneDrive or to Facebook or what have you. But if I do mail, for example, I have a mail client already installed, so I can type in Adam at itpro.tv, and we'll go ahead and send him that because I know he wants to make that part of his background.
I am dying to add that to my repertoire.
For the rest of his show.
Now, Mike showed you the mic client. Mike showed you the mic client. Mike, you're the client. Mike showed you the app for the mail client. We're not talking about that in this episode. It is set up in some of the other episodes when we talk about how to link, let's say, your phone and do cloud-based stuff with your Microsoft account. That's linked to a Microsoft account traditionally, or your work account or your personal account. We have ours set up. I just got the notification. It popped up on mine. But if you don't have it set up, you could still email it. It's just now you got to copy, you got to paste, you got to open whatever mail client you use. It's just a one click as opposed to maybe a dual click kind of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, then rounding up our menu over here, we've got the open with, print, send feedback, and settings. All of those are pretty straightforward. If I wanted to open this image now with some more powerful imaging editing software or what have you, I could do that. We could print that out. We could send feedback to Microsoft. Hey, I really love your cool new tool. The protractor has saved my life. And we could go
I'm not
settings.
the same since I learned about the protractor.
Right, and then there are a few settings where you can do in here. The print screen shortcut, I think I showed you that. Use print screen button to open up screen snipping. You do have to set that in your Windows settings. Auto copy to clipboard, which is turned on by default. Update the clipboard automatically when annotating. So as I annotate, if I had already copied it to my clipboard, the annotations are moving over there as well. Save snips. If you close the window, do you want it to prompt you and say, hey, do you want to save that snip first? Because you're going to lose it. and then outline snip. Adam, you were talking about this one with me the other day. You said you like this one.
I do. You know, I've played with the tool since we decided we're going to feature it here on the show. And I use, I do a lot of copying of content for our documentation, for our show notes, for social media posts, blog posts, things like that. We all do, right, as we do our stuff. And I'm sure a lot of you do probably as well. Thing I liked about it, and if you could maybe just do a snip real quick while we're talking so I can just talk over what Mike's doing. So the thing I liked about it was, it automatically, if we use this feature, as Mike's going to show you, we'll get a snip with a border that's, about a nice thickness around it, color notwithstanding, so we could choose the color. And you could see it's like a little orange there, and you could, modify that. But the point is, it does a nice border outline. I see a lot of snips that are done in social media where people are doing screen captures. We do a lot with code, for instance, PowerShell, VS Code, things like that. And sometimes we struggle to get the code to show up the right way or highlight it because it's a background issue with colors. I just find this is very effective because it really draws your attention to the piece that I want. Could you outline essentially the snip using the ruler and do it after the fact? You could. It's a lot more work, right? Yeah. As we saw, it's nice if you do it this way, just out of the box. I just actually thought it was kind of a time saver.
It is a great point you make. If you're doing a snip of a text document, for example, which has a white background, and you're posting it out on some social media that has a white background, it's hard to tell where your snip ends in the actual content. Yeah. It just blurs together. This gives it that nice crisp border to it. And as you saw, you have the options of making that thicker, changing the colors, what have you. Last thing I want to show you about the snipping tool is something, the reason I'm doing the driving in the first place was because of the feature my laptop has, the touchscreen capabilities. And so what you'll see on mine, and you might not see on yours, depending on what technology you're using, you might not have this touch writing option, but it does give me the ability. It's not anything I have to click or select. It's just showing me that, hey, I can touch. And so I can use my finger to do this annotation as well. Actually, let me turn that back on. I did turn it off.
Yeah, you turned it off when you clicked on it. Yep.
So now I'm using my finger across that screen, and you can see I'm a fantastic finger
artist. Signed by Mike will be available at the end of the episode in the lobby. And if you pay an extra $5, he'll autograph it for you live.
That's right. So let me go ahead and add my signature here to my fantastic drawing. There we go. So now it's an official signed work done with my finger. Though I couldn't do that with my mouse. So if there are times when you need to, you want to use your finger, you've got the touchscreen capabilities. It's cool that they give you that option, and it works with all of them, right? If I grab my ruler, I can use my touchscreen to drag that ruler down. I can use my finger to draw across there, whatever I need to do. All with the touch screen. So very handy, dandy feature.
I don't have the touch screen. That's why Mike was kind enough to say I'll drive for this one, because me touching the screen just doesn't really have the same effect when nothing happens. But yeah, that actually is kind of neat.
It is.
I do like that part too.
All right. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this cool new feature of Windows 10. Stay tuned. We got more coming your way.
See you soon.